visit a Spectrum store today.
We said we'd never break the 3-second rule. Never do that. And never become a mini mom.
Hey, Chris.
As parents, we say never a lot, but never happens. So when you say you'd never leave your child in a hot car, know it can happen. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock.
Good morning, I'm Bree Driscoll, and here's your Spectrum News in 90. A large fire near London's Heathrow Airport shuts down one of the world's busiest hubs. The closure is expected to affect more than 1,300 flights. The airport is warning of significant disruption over the coming days. The cause of the fire is under investigation. President Donald Trump signs an executive order to dismantle the education department. Trump says services like Pell Grants, Title I funding, and resources for children with special needs won't be affected. But education advocates argue the department plays a crucial oversight role in making sure state education budgets aren't cut and the civil rights of students are protected. A district judge is accusing the Justice Department of disobeying his orders. He says the department defied him at least once in a case involving a wartime law to deport people without hearings. Now the judge is giving the DOJ until Tuesday to prove it didn't defy restraining orders. It's the same case that prompted a rare rebuke from Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts earlier this week. Day one of March Madness is in the books, and already a couple of major upsets. 12-seed Nice overtook 5-seed Clemson, and 11-seed Drake beat 6-seed Missouri. More than 34 million brackets submitted, only about 36,000 remain perfect. And that's your Spectrum News in 90.
Happy Friday, everybody. I'm meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your weather on the Ones forecast. Hope you all have been having a wonderful week. We're going to have temperatures right around average for the most part across the southeast. We'll be in the low 60s from Raleigh down to Atlanta. And how about the upper 60s in Orlando with a good deal of sunshine to close out the work and school week. But across the northeast, we keep a few showers in the forecast, and our active weather pattern is going to stick around for the weekend. We'll talk about that in more detail coming up.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bree Driscoll, and thanks so much for joining us here on Spectrum News. Today is Friday, March 21st. A developing story out of London. A large fire near Heathrow Airport shuts down one of the world's busiest hubs. The closure is expected to affect more than 1,300 flights and could impact 145,000 passengers. Flight analytic firm Churum's data shows dozens of flights have already been diverted to other airports across Europe and North America. Some flights were also turned back to where they departed. One passenger was headed to Heathrow from the United States when it had to return.
I was traveling to Oslo, connecting through Heathrow to visit my dad who has cancer, to spend time with him, and now I will have to rebook my flights and find other accommodations for visiting my family.
The airport is warning of significant disruption over the coming days. The cause of the fire is under investigation. Spectrum's Brianna Foose is here with the impact this is having on international travel. Brianna.
Well, Bree, Heathrow Airport is one of the world's busiest airports for international travel. At least 1,351 flights to and from Heathrow are being impacted so far, according to the flight tracking website Flight Radar 24.
Fire and haze. Oh my God.
Flames shooting into the sky.
Look at that.
London's fire brigade says a fire at a substation west of London remains under investigation. Some 70 firefighters were at the scene.
It's all dark here, mate.
Meantime, video from travelers at Heathrow Airport show it in the dark. It'll remain that way all of Friday. Aviation analyst Jeff Thomas on the impact.
I'm expecting significant turmoil. Heathrow handles about 250,000 passengers a day.
Heathrow officials warned of significant disruption over the coming days and are telling passengers not to travel under any circumstances until the airport reopens.
Please proceed to the
hotel if needed, or your home if you do live here in Boston.
A flight tracking website, Flight Radar 24, said at one point there were 120 flights in the air being diverted. Thomas notes surrounding airports are at capacity, not to mention the impact on crews who've already done long flights on limited hours.
They've got their crews in the wrong place. So this is going to be a major problem.
As smoke still billows into the morning, it begs the question, where is the backup power?
There has to be a plan B.
So if you're traveling internationally today, you are urged to check with your airline, Bree.
Yeah, good advice there. And Anna, what about the impact on the surrounding neighborhoods? Those home videos make it seem like this fire was in people's backyards.
And those videos, Bree, albeit super terrifying, right? They are still coming in. The London Fire Brigade says thousands of homes are without power and about 150 people were evacuated.
Brianna Foose reporting for us. Thank you very much. At the White House, President Donald Trump signs an executive order to dismantle the Department of Education. It's been a long-time goal of Republicans to send many of the agency's services back to the states. But opponents are already pledging to challenge an order in court. Our national reporter, Evan Kozlov, has more from Washington.
With the stroke of a pen, President Donald Trump acted on a campaign promise to dismantle the Department of Education.
This is a very popular thing to do, but much more importantly, it's a common sense thing to do.
The executive order dramatically shrinks the agency and limits its power, although it stops short of fully closing the department, which President Trump acknowledged would take an act of Congress. The agency currently employs over 4,000 people and has an annual budget of over $250 billion, although most of that money is simply passed on to local school districts. President Trump said on Thursday that services like Pell Grants, Title I funding, and resources for children with special needs won't be affected.
He's anxious for me to fire myself.
Education Secretary Linda McMahon spoke with Spectrum News at the White House Thursday night and said this was all about bringing education back to the states.
The funding will continue, and it will go directly to the states. It won't have to go through the bureaucracy of the Department of Education. So I think he could operate definitely more efficiently, and the governors are all on board with that.
But education advocates argue that the department plays a crucial oversight role in making sure state education budgets aren't cut and that the civil rights of students are protected. One advocate calling this order a sledgehammer.
You don't get angry at the thermometer when your kid has a fever. You know, that's what the federal government is. It's the thermometer to tell us what ails us, whether or not our kids are educationally healthy.
Joining President Trump at the event, a number of Republican governors, including Jeff Landry of Louisiana and Greg Abbott of Texas.
We believe that we can spend that money much better than Washington believes they know how we should spend the money.
This was a topic before he was elected president the first time, and we finally have a president who's delivering.
Now, the union representing many of the Department of Education employees said that this was an illegal overreach, while one of the biggest teachers unions in the country, the American Federation of Teachers, wrote simply, "See you in court." Reporting here in Washington, I'm Evan Kozlov, Spectrum News.
The Trump administration faces 2 new deadlines in a court case involving the deportation of alleged gang members to El Salvador. For days, a judge has been trying to get information on whether the government continued trying to deport them even after he ordered it not to. Spectrum's Angie Gonzalez explains.
Judge Jeb Boasberg has given the Trump administration a choice: either disclose the timing of deportation flights carried out last weekend or claim they can't do it because it would reveal state secrets. If they pick the latter, they have until next Tuesday to explain why. For days, there's been a back and forth about turning over the information.
No thank you, Your Honor, which DOJ has now been saying for 3 consecutive days. That's not a menu option.
At issue is a judge's verbal order Saturday that the U.S. government return the deportees, even those already in transit, to El Salvador after he issued a temporary restraining order on President Trump's decision to invoke an 18th century wartime provision.
We are 100% confident that we've complied.
The Alien Enemies Act enables the government to carry out deportations without traditional immigration proceedings.
The president, through proclamation, took his authority under Alien Enemies Act and and imposed it, which he has a right to do.
Thursday, the judge said the Trump administration's response to his request for information on the flights was, quote, woefully insufficient. The Justice Department has said that the judge's inquiry amounts to an unnecessary judicial fishing expedition.
I don't think we've quite hit constitutional crisis point, but I do think we are in definite constitutional showdown territory right now.
This is the same case that prompted Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts to come out in defense of the judge earlier this week after President Trump criticized the judge's actions on social media. In Washington, Angie Gonzalez, Spectrum News.
Elon Musk is heading to the Pentagon. Coming up on Spectrum News, what he could be discussing with officials and what the defense secretary is saying about the visit.
Weather can be beautiful, inconvenient, and at times powerful. And it affects everything we do. At Spectrum News Plus, our weather experts update you with the information and the context you need so you can better plan your day. And we do it every 10 minutes. We're the calm in the storm. Weather on the Ones on Spectrum News Plus, exclusively on Spectrum. And get your weather anytime on the Spectrum News app.
I really am in the middle of nowhere. Every day is different. Chores, come on, homeschooling, and then I fit in the rug business. I just got a new batch of rugs that I'd love to show you. I have a website, and a lot of what I do is sharing my home life. Mommy's leaving. Reliable, high-speed internet is the foundation of our business. Spectrum was great. They went out of their way to make sure that I was okay and I was taken care of. Shoo! And that's the awesomeness of having Spectrum.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your weather on the Ones forecast. It's been an active week weather-wise across the lower 488, especially up into the northern plains. We have blizzard conditions one day, the threat for severe thunderstorms the next, and an increase for fire danger for that matter as well. But as we head to this weekend, the active weather pattern is going to stick around with another round of severe thunderstorms into portions of the Tennessee Valley down into the deep south for our Sunday. But looking ahead to the first full week of spring, we do have a nice warming trend that is going to be around for many, especially if you live in the central United States. But our active weather pattern is going to be across the northeastern United States, associated with this slow-moving cold front that's working its way off the northeast. This is going to continue to bring rain and even some snow showers for the rest of the day in a place like Maine, especially in some of the higher elevations across the mountains and into the northern part of the state. But across New York, Pennsylvania, into the mid-Atlantic states, we are going to be dry and quiet for the rest of the afternoon with a good deal of sunshine. A weaker storm system trails right behind it, bringing some light rain and maybe a few snow flurries here and there across New York as we transition into Saturday afternoon. But if you've got outdoor plans this weekend, no need to cancel them. There will be plenty of dry time sticking around and some nice temperatures across the rest of the country for that matter as well. This afternoon. We'll be in the upper 70s, low 80s in Texas and across the Gulf Coast. We're going to have highs in the upper 60s in New Orleans, mid 60s from Raleigh, Atlanta as well. Beautiful weather in store for us for the afternoon hours today. And then that continues into our Saturday, warming up into the low to middle 70s, staying in the low 80s across southern Texas. But as we look ahead to the end of this month, we are trending much warmer across the Central Plains, down into the western coast, even into the southeast as we head into the first couple of days of April. But below average temperatures will be likely across the Great Lakes and into the northeastern United States as well. So keep that in mind as we head into the next several days. But as we get into the weekend, though, I mentioned we have another storm system that's going to arrive, bringing the potential for some strong to severe thunderstorms. We'll break down the potential threats that we could see coming up in 10 minutes on your Weather on the Ones.
And here's a look at what you need to know. A large fire near London's Heathrow Airport shuts down one of the world's busiest hubs. Closure is expected to affect more than 1,300 flights. President Donald Trump signs an executive order to dismantle the education department. Trump says services like Pell Grants and resources for children with special needs won't be affected. And a district judge is accusing the Justice Department of disobeying his orders. He says the department defied him at least once in a case involving a wartime law to deport people without hearings. And that's a look at what you need to know this morning. Now to the latest on two different wars taking place overseas. Both Gaza and Ukraine are still recovering from separate aerial attacks this week. Following a series of airstrikes from Israel Tuesday, the toll in Gaza has now surpassed 500. The Hamas-run Palestinian Health Ministry confirming more than half of the victims are women and children. The attacks putting any potential ceasefire talks on indefinite hold. Separately, one of Ukraine's southern cities was engulfed in flames yesterday as a result of a large-scale drone attack from Russia. After a conversation with President Trump this week, Ukrainian President Zelensky said he was ready to agree to a ceasefire. Russia's President Putin has not budged. Elon Musk is expected to visit the Pentagon today. The New York Times says the billionaire is set to be briefed on details about a potential war with China. But on social media, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said this is not a meeting about top-secret China war plans, denying the Times report. The White House says a meeting is taking place, but declined to elaborate about its topics. Two of Musk's companies, SpaceX and Tesla, have extensive ties to China. The meeting comes as Musk and the U.S. DOJ service have come under fire for being given access to other sensitive government data. Yesterday, President Trump signed an executive order expanding access to additional records for special federal employees like those at DOJ, while a federal judge blocked the agency from accessing some sensitive Social Security information. Earlier this month, President Trump imposed a tariff on Canadian goods entering the U.S. Canada then added its own retaliatory tariffs on the U.S. While the conflict began at the border, it's trickled to other industries. Tourism and real estate are just some beginning to feel the fallout. Spectrum's Mark Gashgarian explains why.
The trade war with Canada now having an impact on the housing market in destination tourist spots like Ellicottville, Cattaraugus County, where many Canadians own second homes. Real estate brokers say since the Trump administration's imposed tariffs, a Canadian developer has paused his project. A handful of Canadian homeowners put their house on the market or sold it with plans to leave the country, while a few prospective new buyers from Canada have backed out of their deals.
It's very frustrating because I'd say 50% of our market, not only do properties that are listed linger longer, their prices are going to go down because they're not fetching what they used to fetch, and to get a buyer, they're going to have to drop prices, so it's going to impact pricing.
The Chamber of Commerce equally concerned about housing, but says some businesses have yet to see an impact, while others have noticed decreased foot traffic. Leaders are working to retain and attract Canadians after many have vowed to ban travel into the U.S.
We don't want them to feel that way. There is the concern that it could potentially have an impact on Ellicottville down the road. As of right now, with everything that we're trying to do, we're still trying to promote, as always, and hopefully we won't see too much of a difference.
Visit Buffalo Niagara, also working on some new marketing plans in response to the issue, as group leaders say they're very concerned about international border crossings and Canadian visitation numbers down double digits from this time last year. Leaders say that could impact businesses as well as the valued relationship with Canada dating back generations at all ports of entry across upstate New York.
These impacts and effects are being felt, beyond just Buffalo and Western New York, and really in any border community, that depends on Canadian visitation. It's definitely not unique to Buffalo, and certainly is something that's more widespread.
Mark Garian, Spectrum News.
Day one of March Madness is in the books. Just ahead on Spectrum News, the big upsets and bracket busters from yesterday's slate.
Spectrum News Plus. News from a new perspective, dedicated to refreshing storytelling and empowering communities across the nation. With balanced reporting, providing real context and in-depth coverage 24 hours a day.
Here's a look at your forecast across the country.
Local stories, connecting communities. We are Spectrum News Plus. Streaming now on the Spectrum News app and free with your Spectrum subscription.
Starting a business is hard. You have to stay connected at all times.
As we've been growing the studio, Spectrum's been there every step of the way. I'm always able to make the phone call that I need. I'm able to shoot that text message or that email. Every vital piece of equipment that we have here uses Spectrum.
Fast, reliable internet, starting at $40 a month, backed by the Spectrum commitment to keep your business connected.
Food isn't just fuel to live, it's fuel to grow. My family relied on public assistance to help provide meals for us. These meals fueled my involvement in theater and the arts as a child, which fostered my love for acting. The Feeding America network of food banks helps millions of people put food on the table. When people are fed, futures are nourished. Join the movement to end hunger, and together we can open endless possibilities for people to thrive. Visit feedingamerica.org/actnow.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Happy Friday, everybody. I'm meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your weather on the Ones forecast. Hope you all had a wonderful week. We've been active weather-wise, and for the first day of spring, we've had a slow-moving cold front work its way off the eastern coast that brought some beneficial rainfall to many communities around the D.C. area up towards New Jersey, where we had rainfall totals ranging from an inch and a half. And that's going to help out big time for our moderate to severe drought conditions in many of those areas as well. But we are going to continue to stay dry and quiet in the central and southern plains over the next couple of days. Temperatures are going to warm up pretty nicely, and our slow-moving cold front continues to progress further and further off the eastern coast. Far northeastern United States is going to be dealing with some wet weather over the course of the day today, but again, not expecting any drastic rainfall totals compared to what we had on our Thursday. But we do keep a risk for some severe thunderstorms heading into the weekend. A level 1 marginal risk across portions of Missouri into Kansas as well. This does include the Kansas City region, and we're not expecting widespread severe weather, and this is not going to be happening until the end of the day. So most of our Saturday will be fairly dry and quiet. So when we get towards Sunday, that risk is going to jump into a level 2 slight risk across portions of Tennessee, down into Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, and into Texas as well. Could get this upgraded to a level 3 enhanced risk as we get closer to Sunday, but damaging winds is the primary concern with this severe threat. But we also keep a low-level threat for tornadoes to develop in many of those areas as well. So definitely make sure you're staying weather aware if you live in this part of the country. But more concerned with the threat for flooding. We keep a marginal risk for flash flooding across the Tennessee Valley down into Alabama and Mississippi, and we're expecting some moderate to heavy rainfall to stick around as we transition into our Sunday. So that's also another component that we have to deal with as we get towards the end of the weekend. So you'll notice things are going to stay dry and quiet across Missouri for our Saturday afternoon. This is 2 o'clock in the second half of the And then our storm system arrives as we get past midnight, where we could see some damaging wind gusts in Arkansas and Missouri. As we get into the early morning hours on our Sunday, we're going to see most of that moisture working its way up into portions of the Midwest. By the end of the day, Sunday, though, we're going to see a line of thunderstorms developing, and this is where our severe weather threat really starts to ramp up, with the threat for some damaging winds and maybe 1 or 2 rotating thunderstorms that are capable of producing a few tornadoes as well. So again, towards the end of the day on Sunday, make sure you are staying weather aware. But aside from that, heading into this weekend, we are expecting mainly dry conditions in the central U.S., especially across southern Texas and into the Sunshine Friday. The Raleigh and Charlotte area will also see a great deal of sunshine, with temperatures starting to rise a few degrees above the average towards the end of the weekend.
Day 1 of March Madness is in the books, and already there has been a couple of major upsets. 12-seed McNeese overtook 5-seed Clemson, and 11-seed Drake beat 6-seed Missouri. Kansas also lost in the first round of the tournament for the first time since 2006. Of the more than 34 million brackets submitted, only about 36,000 remain intact. Well, if your bracket is already busted, don't feel bad. Only around 1% of brackets are perfect heading into day 2 of the tournament. Each year, tens of millions of fans fill out brackets, choosing who will be crowned champs. Spectrum's Ariel Wessler explores the impact it's having on student athletes and the game.
It's something that's never been done, according to the NCAA, picking a perfect bracket. In fact, the odds of picking all 64 teams correctly is 1 in, that's a lot of numbers, 9.2 quintillion. Despite those despicable odds, the NCAA says 60 to 100 million brackets are filled out every year, and typically they're free, so anyone can do it, even with limited basketball knowledge.
It's the underdogs who will win the games. It's the unknown. It's the pace of the games. It's a action-packed 3 weeks.
Lori Kalani with sports betting website DraftKings says they see a surge in business during March Madness.
It's an extremely busy time of year.
The American Gaming Association estimates Americans will legally wager $3.1 billion on the men's and women's college basketball tournaments this year. That's double the amount in the Super Bowl. Sure, filling out a bracket or throwing money on your favorite team can seem harmless, but a recent study commissioned by the NCAA found 1 in 3 student athletes reported receiving abusive messages from people with money on the line. In fact, 80% of that abuse targeted men's and women's basketball players during March Madness.
Only a loser would harass college athletes after losing a bet.
This year, the NCAA launched this new ad as part of its Draw the Line campaign. It calls attention to that abusive behavior by fans. Dr. Timothy Fong studies gambling and provides mental health care to student athletes at UCLA.
I've had some student athletes say to me, why should I even bother playing? What's the point? I'm no longer viewed as a person. I'm not even viewed as an athlete. I'm viewed as a stock, as a commodity.
Last year, March Madness, Armando Bacot, a basketball player for the University of North Carolina, said he felt sports betting had gotten a bit out of hand.
I thought I played pretty good last game, but I looked at my DMs and I got like over 100 messages from people telling me I sucked and stuff like that because I didn't get enough rebounds.
NCAA President Charlie Baker has urged lawmakers to ban prop bets in college sports. Those are wagers on something other than the game's final outcome. Fong says they can often put individual players in an impossible situation.
No matter how well an athlete performs or how poorly they perform, someone's winning or someone's losing. There's always a loser.
Sports betting is now legal in 39 states, a multi-billion-dollar industry that continues to grow. Ariel Wessler, Spectrum News.
Please bet responsibly. And you can always stay connected with us here at Spectrum News by getting your national and local headlines on the go. Just download the free Spectrum News app. It's available in the App Store and on Google Play. I'm Bree Driscoll. Thanks so much for watching. Your Spectrum News in 90 is coming up right after this short break. Stay with us.
I tell my son, I love you every single day. Now, my dad has never said that to me. Not because he doesn't love me, but because culturally it wasn't comfortable for him. Now that he's a grandfather, he says, I love you to my son every time he sees him. My advice to all the fathers out there, forget the cultural restrictions. They grow up way too fast for you to waste even a single precious moment.
It's game time at the arena, and 20,000 fans are looking for a win. With an ultra-high-speed network and seamless Wi-Fi, fans can get in the door fast and share the game's best moments in real time. And with Spectrum Business committed to keeping them connected 100% of the time, they won't miss a second of the action. A secure, reliable connection from Spectrum Business means the fan experience is a guaranteed win.
Sometimes in life, in order to move forward, it helps to look back.
To learn from the pioneers and trailblazers.
To gain inspiration from those who came before us.
To show us what it means to act with empathy and to show that love has no labels.
Join WWE and Love Has No Labels throughout the year in celebrating people from all communities and heritages.
Because when love has no labels,
that's a love we can all fight for.
Women are bad with money. That's what the world's been saying for centuries. But now we've got something to say.
Save it. It's time to save ourselves by saving our money.
We're no longer 80% more likely than men to live in poverty in retirement.
Save it. The falsehoods, the feelings of fault.
Then the funds. Learn how to save for your retirement at WeSaySaveIt.org.